Bennett's your last name, eh? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the USA Touch Quad Series 2025. We are here for a men's open fixture between the Southern Charm and the Northeast Rampage. Tivoli Guthrie in commentary, joined by US Men's Open representative Robbie Bennett. Robbie, how are you today?
Feeling good, mate. Feeling real good. Excited to watch this game. We have two teams that are seemingly going with the tag of underdogs against each other. So I think both of them will be looking to get that chip off the shoulder. So, yeah, excited to see what the boys can bring.
As we see an early go at the line there from the Southern Charm in the light blue strips, running from right to left on your screen. And we have Northeast Rampage in the darker blue running from left to right as the Charm working the ball through the middle of the field. A quickie play, long ball out to the right-hand side, just a hand in there, and the ball goes over the sideline. But he's probably one to watch, isn't he, Robbie? Enosh Griffin, number 16 for the Southern Charm.
Yeah, Enosh played Menzo in 2015. So he's been around the game for a while. So, yeah, one of the more experienced boys in that's leading the group here.
And now Northeast Rampage, rucking the ball up out of their own half. Just struggling to get to the halfway line, although a nice little check play out wide to get those extra numbers. And then they've got a couple of touches left up their sleeve, one more in fact. The scoop comes through, looking to gun the short side. And a short 2-on-1 with the back flick around the back. Some enterprising play there. That was John Kim. And ultimately it comes to naught as six touches called. So Southern Charm now, they get the turnover. And there has been some physicality out there earlier on. If you were watching the game between the Western Shred and the Northwest Wild, that game very feisty, very niggly, a lot of physicality in there. But now Southern Charm looking for some finesse on the end of the play as the intercept comes from the Rampage. Well taken there from Finlay McDonald. The penalty has been called by the referee, so they'll pull it back, and Southern Charm will get another set of 6 on the line.
Yeah, a little bit of a mental error on the line there with the intercept.
Now, Southern Charm looking to run a 3-2 peel, a rooster play. That's a beautiful dive, skims straight along the grass. Daniel Fauci has crossed over there for Southern Charm. That's their first of the afternoon there, Robbie.
Yeah, early strike by the Charm. Didn't quite see who scored that one.
It was just an easy 32 peel. And then that middle channel for the Rampage just opened up. And then that skimming dive straight along the grass. So great play there from Southern Charm to be able to take that early strike. And they hold a 1-0 lead early on in the opening exchanges of this one. And now Rampage just looking to set their play in the middle of the field. Left foot step. Ball comes back to the middle of the field. Dufo Carver gets the return ball. And it goes back to Vo. And that's excellent defense there from Southern Charm. They didn't really bite on anything. They were happy to keep man on, and they managed to snuff that one out. Dipping pass, was great hands there from Connor Clark. And now just crossing over halfway here. We'll look for Griffin to come on the back end of this set. With a power drive there, he looks to gun down the short side. He goes down the left. He evaded the touch of about 3 or 4 defenders there from the Rampage. And just like that, what a try there, Robbie.
Yeah, Enosh coming on with some speed and intensity there. Looked like there may have been a late touch. I don't think the defender was arguing too hard with that one, so ref let it play through.
Yeah, I think probably beat him by the pace, and I'll tell you what, it will be hard to trump that. Some lightning pace shown by Griffin down the sideline. And now Southern Charm, they take a 2-0 lead early in this one. Rampage looking to answer as they work their way down to the middle of the field, down to the 7. Clark Bell just trying to engage the Charm defenders here. And they run a 32 peel of their own. But there's some great connection here in this Charm defense. Working through the middle of the field. Quickie play again. Goes for the dive between the two middles. But that is easily defended. And Charm, I'll tell you what, their defense early in this one is coming up trumps.
Yeah, it's impressive to see. We mentioned it earlier in the game before that these teams have had minimal time together as a unit. So, like, being able to stay connected is quite impressive at this point.
And if you are just tuning in, we've got a men's open fixture between the Southern Charm, which incorporates the sort of southern region of the US. So you've got clubs like Denver, Austin, New Orleans, Fort Lauderdale in there as well, coming up against Northeast Rampage with clubs such as New York, Chicago, Boston, DC Galaxy as well in there. So a real mix. And like you mentioned, Robbie, quite hard to get that cohesion this early in the tournament, but both of these teams seeming to do quite well in that aspect.
Yeah, and quite impressed by the Northeast team too. We see a lot of boys here that traditionally play either in the mixed grades. I know Boston and DC traditionally are more mixed teams, although I think Boston recently had a men's team in, but even the New York boys, I know the majority of the New York men's team isn't here this weekend, so there's a couple of the younger guys getting a look in. So, yeah.
So you see Kim scoop through, and he's offloaded. I think that might be Jake List that may have got the touchdown there. And great scoop there from Kim. He just sliced through the defense. All he needed to do was find a teammate, and he did so. And now Northeast Rampage, they get their first on the board, and they reduce that deficit to 1.
There was a little New York men's middle connection there.
And those connections proving so important, aren't they, Robbie, across the entire competition. The first couple of games that have been played, those combos, they really come fruitful. Just the familiarity with play as they look for another 3-2 peel. That's how they scored their first. Although Rampage up to the task on that occasion. It was Bateman looking to dive over, but the touch was made. Now they'll look to reload and reset, setting up at that 32 ruck as Griffin comes out of half. Looks to throw the long ball out to the left. Was the touch made? Heron, it would have been a great finish in the corner if he did get that down. Referee says all clear. What a finish there from Chris Heron. That was Griffin coming out of half. I think that might have been off a middle platform. Threw that ball out to the left, and Griffin is looking dangerous early.
Yeah, Griffin showing the experience that he's had throughout the years. He's been playing a bit of, he was on the Vipers national winning team last year, so he's kind of riding a lot of high momentum here, and he's clearly showing it early on in this game.
Yeah, which is a little bit of an oddity, isn't it, Robbie? You've got most of the Vipers boys playing for the Western Shred, and we have, we have mentioned earlier that they were probably pre-tournament favourites. Griffin, though, opting to go with the Southern Charm?
Yeah, I'm not too sure where everyone lives, but I think he's either in Dallas or New Orleans. I can't remember, but yeah, I don't think they had the option to play for that team in national, so kind of jumped on with the Vipers. We joked a little bit, the Vipers, Globetrotters, but yeah, interesting to see them split up. But Eno showing that he's the premier man at the moment.
The Vipers, Globetrotters, they do have a few handy players in that team based out of Utah. 7 on is the call as we return to on-field action from the referee. The tap will come from the halfway line. And that's a really hard thing to get, quite right, isn't it, Robbie? That subbing pattern, with referees really cracking down these days with 7 on the field, and Southern Charm guilty of it on that occasion.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. It comes with familiarity, and the more you're playing together, I think as the tournament goes on, you'll see a little bit of smooth. I think we look at the two teams earlier. We talk about the core pods being together. They're a little bit smoother, rolling on, rolling off. So. These two teams showing that they have the understanding together. They just got to get the execution right.
Execution definitely is the key. As Rampage looking to penetrate the line. They had Victor Wu coming around on a sweep. He looked to load up left to right, but nothing really doing on that occasion. Now they're looking to reset, just passing the ball amongst themselves. They're trying around with the sweep again. He'll look to run the exact same play, and why not when you're that open on the near side. Again, just a running line error, I think, there from the winger on the near side. I think that was Quinton Westbrook out wide. And as the old saying goes, isn't it, Robbie? Elephants can't jump. Needed to jump quite high to get that one. But now the Charm looking to ruck the ball away from their line. That's a great drive there. I think that was Heron once more. Now with a couple more, I really like this from Southern Charm. Their sort of fourth and fifth touch, although losing their way on that occasion there. But that intent coming on that fourth drive, you know, coming around from the box, they're really looking intense on that drive. Now Rampage will look to do the same, working their way towards the box. As we've got, I think that's Rama Motari out on the wing there for the Rampage. A late inclusion here for them.
Yeah, Rama's another one of those experienced boys. He's played on that Vipers winning team and also played for men's 30s at World Cup.
And he's just come from a coaching gig for the women's Southern Charm team as well. So he's had to back up within a couple of games. We saw the women's Southern Charm in action earlier today. And the turnover comes there. So Southern Charm, a great defensive effort to keep the Rampage well away from their try line. And that's a great yardage pattern here. They've found some yardage down the left-hand channel. And Griffin now coming in. And it's this part here where I think they're really killing them, the Southern Charm. They're doing quite well. Again, just losing their connection there as they get down to the 7. Now looking to work their way towards an attacking strike play as the fifth and final comes. Ball just going to ground there. Foshi once again just not being able to quite get the ball to hand. The ball was dipping behind him. But it's just those errors that these teams are going to have to clean up if they want to convert on the back end of their sets, isn't it, Robbie?
100%. We can see that the Southern Charm look very smooth through their first 3 touches, but as soon as they break away from the pattern, it looks a little disjointed, a little chaotic. Kind of need to tighten it up, set their strike play up, and that's where they had success early on. But yeah, we can see if both sides can kind of get into their rhythm here.
And now Rampage, courtesy of a penalty there, will get a couple of cracks on the 7. They really opened them up off that sweeper play the previous set. Looking to go back towards a middle quickie. And that's an easy shut there. I think that was Skylar Talley for the Southern Charm. An inside ball. Bit of enterprising play there from the Rampage. Now with a couple more touches in this set. Just a little bit of downtime. Yeah, not quite there, although referee has said that they were a bit too quick up off the try line. Looking to go for a cheapy try there, as we call it. And some real noise coming from the Southern Charm box, and those quickie plays, they're really finding it quite easy to defend. The Rampage looking to run a peel play. And once again, that Southern Charm defense, it's great to see their connection because, as you mentioned, this early in the tournament and with players coming from all over the country, you know, it is quite hard to find that cohesion, but the Charm seem to have found it early on in this fixture.
Yeah, I think they're doing what the West needed to do in the previous game, where they're tightening up in the middle and forcing them to play long. And as we can feel here behind us, the wind's picked up a little bit, so not easy to throw that long ball. But yeah, they're tightened up, not letting any cheap tries through the middle.
And shot out of a cannon. Christian Sanchez, that ball came floating out to him at left link, and he just ran onto that ball. Got the ball through the gap, and it was just pure pace in the end, Robbie.
Yeah, we didn't get to see it in the skill show in the 40, but Christian Sanchez is actually one of the quickest players on the US circuit here. It's
such a great aspect of the weekend, isn't it, for the inaugural USA Touch Quad Series, is that skills showcase that we saw last night. If you were in Phoenix here, in Mesa, Arizona. A beautiful backdrop as we see the mountain ranges in the background and some great touch in the foreground. Well defended there from the Charm. Ball working its way back towards the middle of the field. Kim will look to come out of half. He wraps around Wu. Wu looking to go from right to left. Second phase players on. And it was on momentarily. Can they finish in the corner? Motari dives over, but they'll come back for the penalty. A little bit of niggle out on that edge. And it was on that second phase play. They did have some numbers momentarily, just couldn't quite convert there, Robbie.
Yeah, a little slow to react to that. I think if they had seen that earlier, that might be an adjustment that they want to look at, though, if they're shutting early and getting that ball down to get that second phase going.
Yeah, that second phase play, it's all about getting that 2 scoops with sprinkles on the back end. Not quite on that occasion, though, as the referee pulls another penalty. Charm will want to be careful here. If you are new to touch and watching, 3 penalties on the try line will mean that one player from the Southern Charm will have to be excluded from the ensuing set. So they'll want to keep their discipline here, the Charm. Rampage with a fresh set of 6, just toying with the defense at the moment. They've stretched them right across, working their way towards the open side, though. That was Kim. And Charm really confident in their defense early on. As the ball goes out to the left-hand side, Motari, can he finish off out wide? Was a touch made? I think it was. And I tell you what, this is impressive stuff from the Charm. And now the Rampage with one more touch up their sleeve. Wu looks to throw a long ball out to the left. There's a little bit of space, but the touch is made, and that's a big win there for the Southern Charm.
Yeah, huge effort there, going 3 sets in a row, and also keeping the discipline not to get that third one, as you mentioned. Let's see how they can do on the turnover and ensuing ruck. Yeah,
this is better press defense here from the from the Northeast Rampage, really restricting the yards. We did mention earlier that it was an aspect where the Southern Charm really did have that upper hand, but on this set in particular, the Rampage able to gain some parity as we see the 5th and final. The long ball goes out to the left, and I would say that's probably a win there in terms of defense from the Northeast Rampage.
Yeah, getting a stop fairly far out from their own line. It's going to matter now if they can turn this ball over quick enough to get that ruck pattern going. They just seem to look a little disjointed on the first 3 touches. Again, it's that cohesion and knowing where, being on the same page, they seem to be struggling with a little bit here. So they're at touch 4 on halfway line. Not ideal, but...
Well, we'll see what they can make of it. That was a great run from Sharma to get those extra yards. Now going down a very narrow channel. And Southern Charm say anything you can do, we can do better. As the Rampage finished that set just a couple of meters inside the 10. And now Charm looking to work their way to the box. There was some physical defense there from the Rampage. Contentious call there. As now they cross halfway, looking to get close enough to the 7 to be able to strike. Some great communication out there between the Charm players as they look to scoop out a half, running the passive out the back. That is Sanchez once more, a late cut from here and throws the intercept, and Sharma will take that. That'll be touch 0. And something a little bit different on that set, Robbie, looking to run the passive out the back.
Yeah, I think they're trying to keep the ball, these boys active. I know the Rampage goes to a little bit middle, but the Charm seem to be trying to get a little bit more movement side to side, getting the sweeper plays coming around. But yeah, pass the ball, just getting deep, trying to get Christian Sanchez with that electrifying speed in a 2-on-1 situation.
And I'm just keeping a close eye on the box here. Connor Clark has limped off for the Southern Charm. Looks to have copped a knock to his leg. And he'll be a big loss if he can't come back on for the Charm. USA Mixed Open representative. But the Charm, they do have the ball though, as they are on the 7-meter line. Just looking to draw some defenders out, peeling around, and a dive there. Northeast Rampage defender just losing track of where the line was. That was Clark Bell. And Southern Charm managed to dive over for their 4th of the match. So they've scored a couple of tries off those peel plays. I wonder if that's been a talking point pre-game. As they lead by 3, Northeast Rampage looking to get things started. Now Wu, he looks like one that's been liking getting into attacking range. Victor Wu, Jake Liston there as well, setting those platforms. Kim looking to run a 32 peel of their own, the Rampage, but well defended there from the Charm. And as a result, 5th and final is forthcoming. Wu, will he look to use his dancing feet? Throws a bit of a dummy. Late cut comes from Kim, but easily defended there from Griffin. Another great defensive set there from the Southern Charm.
Yeah, very connected, not give them anything easy. Forcing them to play long. As we hear the heartbeat going, 30 seconds left in the half, yeah.
So Southern Charm likely to get the last throw of the dice. Wu gets a hand in there. Back to one. You can see the change in pace. Charm realizing there's only a couple more plays in it. As the scoop comes out of half, they're going early. He goes through. Can he find a teammate to pass to? The pass goes over the top. Great defense, mirror defense there from the Northeast Rampage, although referee has seen an infringement from the Rampage. And a half can't end on a penalty, so the Southern Charm will get one more bite at the cherry here. As the tap comes from Gordillo, the long ball goes quarterback style out to the wing. A little bit unorthodox on the touch field, not so much in the US of A. That'll bring us to half time, an enterprising half there between the Southern Charm and the Northeast Rampage. Southern Charm holding a 4-1 lead, and that's probably a score that's reflective of the game so far, isn't it, Robbie?
Yeah, I think they just seem to be a little bit more in control of their rucking pattern, bit of better execution, finishing their sets. Also, but you mentioned how tight they were in defense, not given the Rampage. Had quite a few cracks there, but held them to one, so quite impressive. Very much still an open game. I think if the Rampage can clean up their rucking pattern, get some territory going, clean up the errors, I think they're still in this one.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The touch is 1, 2, and 3 for and we'll go to a halftime break. Join us again for second half action. And we are back live here from Red Mountain Park in Mesa, Arizona. Thank you very much for joining us for our live stream coverage of the inaugural 2025 USA Touch Quad Series. My name is Tivoli Guthrie. I'm joined in commentary by Robbie Bennett, USA Men's Open representative. And we were just talking before we went to the halftime break. Robbie, 4-1 lead, Southern Charm, a pretty deserved lead. Northeast Rampage, though, what do you think they'll have to do in this half to be able to match it with Southern Charm?
I think for them it's just cleaning up their rucking pattern and narrowing down the errors. They seem to spend a lot of their time defending, and then when they had the opportunity to ruck off, it seemed a little bit disjointed. So if they can clean that up and get some momentum off the back of that, I think they'll have a crack. I think they also need to be a little bit more dynamic, get the Charm defense moving.
Yeah, well, they looked quite threatening on that sweep on a couple of occasions early in that first half, didn't they? And then didn't quite go back to it for the rest of the half, as they look to run down a very narrow short side. Great defense out wide there from Motari. Although a penalty has been called, perhaps not making the line or not moving forward. Not quite sure what the call is. And now the Charm with a ball to ground out on the right-hand side. And probably not the way they would have wanted to start that second half.
This is better from the Rampage on 2 touches here. Touch 3, that's a lot better going down the sideline.
Yeah, I was just about to say that defense, conversely, Southern Charm may not be happy, but Northeast Rampage will be very happy with their effort to start the second half, especially on these first 2 sets, as they look to spread the ball before checking back in field. That's a great touch there. The referee put his whistle to his mouth, yeah, and he does say in the end, there was a little bit too much force there from Chris Calland. And a penalty has been called. So Dufault Carver will take the tap. And then Northeast Rampage will get pretty much a full set of 6 on the 7. As they look to work the ball through the middles. Getting the quickie play, shooting up from length. That's a great defensive play there from Connor Clark. Identified the play was coming his way, shot up out of the line and snuffed out that one. As they look to step off the right foot, the Rampage long ball going over the top. Just landing in no man's land between link and wing. And they probably would be disappointed with that effort, especially considering how they got the ball up the field. Now working their way to the box, young Ari Gaza, 15-year-old out of Austin Touch Rugby. Great to see him on this stage. It'll be a great experience and some great exposure for him. Now Northeast Rampage through Motari, just looking for some numbers, a little bit of footwork there. That was Kabir with the ball. And now just slowing the pace of the game down, Northeast Rampage, probably something that perhaps suits them, although the roll ball was a little bit untidy. And the referee, as a result, has called a turnover. Southern Charm will get the ball a couple of metres off their 7-metre line. It's a great line, and that's a great 1-2 touch for Southern Charm, and they are really rolling here. The subbers are coming on. Some great yardage and some great flow. They've got the momentum, and the scoop comes on the back end. The short ball, a beautiful set there, reminiscent of the Doyleson Dragons. Brilliant play there from the Southern Charm, and they cross over for their 5th of the game. Robbie, what a play.
Yeah, I think they're doing exactly what the Rampage need to start doing off the back of their ruck. The Rampage, anytime they get momentum, they try to slow the ball up and get a little static, maybe get a little too lateral. But Southern Charm using that momentum, defenders are all over the place. Kind of easy try in the end. I think they almost had a 3 or 4 on 1.
Yeah, they had a plenty man overlap out on the right-hand side, and there was a well-taken try there from the Charm. So 5-1 is the current score early in the second half of this USA Touch Quad Series fixture between the Northeast Rampage and the Southern Charm. And Rampage, they'll look to get something back on the board here, and we've seen quite a lot from this pod, haven't we? Wu with the ball in hand. Kim and List on either side of him. Touches come, and that'll be 5th and final. So one more touch to come in this set as Wu looks to throw the long ball out to the right-hand side. I think just looking to kill the ball close to their sideline more than anything there, Robbie.
Yeah, I think they're trying to kill it, like you said, kill on the sideline, get their defensive set, and try stop the momentum that the Southern Charm have with their rucking pattern at the moment. They need some kind of get forward, and they're trying to set that through their defense right now. But as we see, a ton of yards on touch 1.
It didn't exactly work in their favour, although looking to really push hard in defence there was Brady Gent. But Southern Charm, that's a big touch there. Some heavy contact in this battle as Griffin with the ball. And now getting their full complement of 6 on the field. And the ball will come to Griffin looking for a 32 peel. That's a great ball. He held it up nicely. Bit of a juggle. But once he regathered, it was a wonderful short ball. And it was our man we mentioned once again, Brady Gent, I think, that scored that one for the Southern Charm, and that's their 6th of the match. They're really starting to run away with this one.
Yeah, set up by their rucking pattern once again. Extra yards down the sideline, kind of had the defense rolling. Didn't really get to reset, and Enosh Griffin running the play there, the peel play there, getting the quick hands off, and yeah, nice play.
And now Rampage, they find themselves down by 5. The Charm with a firm grip on this one. Just working the ball, that defense really suffocating them, although he poked his nose through Johnny Vo. And then the ball just came loose.
Yeah, I think he got caught by surprise how big the hole was in front of him. Unfortunately, he just dropped it.
Oh, the defense did part like the Red Sea, didn't it? And great officiating here. You saw that the boot was on the sideline. If you are watching from the live stream coverage, we are running by the orange line, so that's a great call there from the best team out there, Team Ref. And now Northeast Rampage looking to cross into enemy territory, working the ball down the right-hand channel, getting fresh troops onto the field. Kabir once again working in the middle. That's Clark Bell with the ball, passing back on the inside. The sweep comes around to the link, looking to dive down the channel. Short ball, 1 and 2, and a great intercept taken. And it had to be made there from Ryan Kretschmer because it was looking threatening out on that left-hand side.
Once again, staying very connected, the Charm. Tough to break down at the moment.
And now Charm just looking to get their set restarted, and they do so in a big way. Some great yards there taken on a relatively static touch. And now they'll look to slow the ball up. They just need a hard drive scoop and a pick off the back end. They opt for a live play, looking for the peel. Touch was made, and then the pass, the late pass is called. I think they might be a little bit more threatening if they opt for the scoop rather than the live play coming close to the 5th and final.
Yeah, especially with the Rampage's speed. We've seen Griffin go through it a couple of times. Also, Mickey Bateman, I think a sevens player by trade, has a lot of gas to burn.
And there are quite a few players that do play the contact form out here today or across the weekend, isn't there, Robbie? It's great to see those relationships being forged. As we see an overlap out on the left-hand side, Griffin just unable to get the pass away. But a full set of 6 they have to work with as Bateman. The ball goes back to Griffin. He throws the long ball. He just can't quite get his hands to it, Walker Stone, although forward pass was called from the referee, so the ball did drift forward, but they really managed to bring the defense a long way in. Now the Rampage, this is the part of the game we'd like to see them really pick up. Touch 1, 2, and 3. That's a great drive there from Wes Kim. And followed on. And now they're on touch 4, and this is a much better set. As the ball comes to List, he'll look to drive up the middle of the field. Kim comes out of half. He looks to run the outside channel. Beautiful short ball. And that is a well-taken try there from the Northeast Rampage. That's more like what we'd like to see from them.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. Taking the momentum off the back of the ruck, not slowing down. Beautiful drive up the middle by Jake List, and then straight through the hole. I think it was John Kim. And a nice set of hands to finish it off.
And the thing I liked about the drive as well, Robbie, is that he didn't try to bite off more than what was on offer. You know, he saw that the platform was there. They already had the Charm on the back foot. All he had to do was get the ball on the deck. Kim did the rest. And Northeast Rampage, they get their second of the afternoon. So 6-2 is the current scoreline. Now the Charm working their way up to the 7-metre line now. Looking to gun that short side. That's a great diving touch there from Johnny Vo. 5th and final is called. And now off a static play, the dummy comes, and they'll look to just kill the ball themselves out on the right-hand side and force Northeast Rampage to work their way all the way to the box to be able to use their interchange and get those fresh legs onto the field. And they haven't done too badly. That's touch 3 right on halfway. And they'll have 2 more touches in this set to be able to set up their strike play as the substitutions come on. A little bit slow off the deck. I think maybe they might actually have 1 more. There we go, 5th and final step off the left foot, looking to run the numbers. And the ball goes to ground there for the Rampage.
Yeah, I think if we look how they set up the defense, you got both middles sitting with their hands on the knees, super tired, but they seem to set their strike play away from those 2 that they've just burnt down. They might want to look at attacking straight down the middle with those boys on the back foot and looking to scoop with pace through there.
Well, they are doing a ton of defense in this game, aren't they, the Southern Charm, especially when it gets down to the 7, as we see great evasion and footwork there from Sanchez. Now looking to spread this Rampage defense out to the left-hand side, and now they're very cramped as a result on that left. A wayward pass comes out to the right, and I think they'll be disappointed with their effort on that set of 6 there, the Charm. And as a result, the Rampage get the ball in some pretty good territory, a pretty hard touch there on Wes Kim. And a forced substitution comes as a result. The referee says there was a little bit too much force in that touch. Now the charm from the infringing player will have to make a substitution. So momentarily they're down to 5. Have the Rampage been able to execute and take advantage? They have indeed. They made some work of the short side and were able to break away down that sideline and take a well-earned try there.
I think Rama, with wise experience there, taking the quick tap, seeing the space on the outside, kind of caught the defense napping, or not quite sure what the call was, but used his experience to take the quick tap and take one back.
So Northeast Rampage, the score looking a little bit more respectable now, 6-3 currently. They've scored the last 2 back-to-back. Now the charm looking to get the wagon back on the tracks here is Griffin. Running a 32 peel, there's some real purpose in that drive, although easily defended there from Kim. So the touch is made, bang on the 7. Griffin working in the middle there with Bateman. Bateman looking to run the numbers. They've got numbers out here. And Heron crosses over for his second of the afternoon. Touches down in the right-hand corner. That's just great eyes-up footy.
Yeah, they managed to suck the defense in there. I think got caught a little too high in the game. They at times have a little bit too much pace maybe on the outside there. But yeah, took full advantage of that to sneak one in.
And so that's their 7th. A great finish out wide from Chris Heron. And Northeast Rampage perhaps just guilty of switching off momentarily. A bit of a lapse in concentration defensively. And now they'll look to work that one back and get it back on the board. Peg it back as a strong touch coming in there. Just disrupted the roll ball long enough. And Rampage ball goes to ground. So Charm will get the ball back, and they've been really impressive on these first and second touches throughout the entirety of the game. And as the game has worn on, they've just managed to get more and more yardage on touches 1, 2, and 3. And now just slowing down a little bit, that's Sanchez. Touch 4, that's a great diving effort there from Dufal Carver. Off the left foot, scooping out a half. Sanchez just overrunning it a little bit as Gaza, but they managed to go through. Just couldn't quite connect in the end goal. But that was a pretty good effort there from the Charm. Now the Rampage just trying to work their way to the box. Just mass substitutions means there's no one on the field as they get their fresh legs on now. And the heat potentially really taking its toll. It is quite hot here in Mesa, Arizona, as we see another sort of lapse in concentration there from the Rampage. Ball goes to ground, and that's sort of been the story of their afternoon.
Yeah, I think as we see as the heat kind of picks up again and fatigue sets in, both teams making a couple of unforced errors. I think the Charm will want to kind of slow the game down here, take control. Under 10 minutes to go here with a sizable lead. Just kind of clean it up and execute, finish your sets.
Now great press defense there from the Rampage. Now Griffin with a great drive, a scoop out a half, just getting their lines crossed a little bit there. If that was a bit cleaner, I think they would have been in for all money. But a touch and pass has been called. As we mentioned, yeah, it is pretty hot here in Mesa, Arizona. It's about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And then the pass just going over the sideline. Perhaps too many dark blue jumpers there to choose from. He ended up picking the one that was already standing on the sideline. Now the Charm working their way up to the 7-metre line, looking to get a couple of changes onto the field. Griffin just evading touches, evading hands before he takes his well-earned rest. Now the Charm with the ball coming out to the left-hand side. Just happy to play with their patient build-up. The scoop comes out of half. Wrapping around there. The long ball goes out to the left. It did go forward out of the hands. So ball to ground. Forward pass came anyway. So the penalty will be to the Northeast Rampage. This thing well and truly taken out of this fixture. 7-3 is the current scoreline to the Southern Charm. And that's a better ruck there from the Rampage. Ball drifting in the air. Motari from half. They just want to get some purpose in this back end of the set. Just looking to lose their way a little bit. Sharma checking back on the inside. And then running a peel play. Can he go all the way through? The touch is made there on Johnny Vo. And again, I think probably just some scoop plays on the fifth and final just to take advantage or take the most advantage of the defense being offside.
Yeah, totally. And I think, again, once again, they're setting up on the side where the defense is kind of able to take a break as the ruck pattern's happening on him. The close side defenders aren't really engaging the rucking pattern as the team is subbing off, so they kind of take a break and then setting up onto them kind of their fresh legs and can defend the scoop. Oh.
As we see, the scoop did go through. I think that was Sanchez once more. Looked to pop the ball over the top to Heron. Not quite managing to go to hand there. So let off the hook there, the Rampage. And now they'll look to make their way to the subbing box. As they move forward up to the halfway line. There's Clark Bell. There we go. The scoop comes out of half. Defender was called offside. And not so much there from Kretschmar. He makes the touch. And they were shaping up to be a little bit better there from the Rampage, but I think they were undone from all their work at the beginning of the set, just not able to get deep enough into enemy territory, although they will get another shot at it. Ball has gone to ground from the Charm, so the Rampage now working their way to their box. They'll look to get some fresh legs on so that they can have a couple of strikes at the line. There's List and Wu and Kim, that same pod we've been seeing for majority of their attacking opportunities. Looking to convert here. Kim comes around on a sweep, goes off the left foot. Was the ball down? It was indeed. There's finally some purchase there for the Northeast Rampage. And John Kim crosses over for the fourth of the afternoon.
Yeah, better movement from the Rampage. As we kind of see, we had them moving from side to side a little bit with momentum going forward. Yeah, Sanchez doesn't seem to be too happy with himself missing that one, but good play by the Rampage to get one back.
Definitely was, and the heartbeat comes from the speaker, which means there's not long left in this game. As we tick down the seconds, Northeast Rampage, they'll get the ball on a turnover. And they will probably get the last shot in this one. As the hooter goes, the long ball out to the left, a little tip-on play to Sharma. The ball goes to ground, and that'll wrap us up here. Southern Charms 7-4 winners. They probably put or let the foot off the gas a little bit in that second half as the heat started to take a toll, but they definitely deserved the win in that one, Robbie.
Yeah, 100%. I think overall just a little cleaner, less mistakes, although it got a little messy at the end there. I think just executed a little bit better. I think the Rampage can take away a lot from this game. I think if they just set up if they fix up their boxing and rucking, get a little bit of momentum off the back, like you said, set up those strike plays down the middle, I think they can do some damage for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, and they do have potentially two more games for the rest of the tournament. So we have the round games today, and we'll finish off with the finals games tomorrow morning, local time. But thank you for joining us for this Men's Open fixture at the 2025 USA Touch Quad Series. Southern Charm getting the win over the Northeast Rampage.
Welcome back to the inaugural Quad Series. We've got a game coming up in the Women's Open division. The Southern Charm up against the Northwest Wild. Southern Charm coming into the second round with a round one loss to the Western Shred. It was a close one. They were in that game.